everyone, I welcome you all to today's session of ethics. Today we are going to talk about 7 social sins, which is a very crucial concept given by the greatest Indian philosopher and mass leader Mahatma Gandhi. Right? But before that, I want you all to be aware about Mains 8 2022 program by Analyst IAS, wherein you can get help for polity, essay, public administration, and ethics to improve your score in the upcoming mains examination. Do check out the details given over here and apply soon to avail the early bird discount. Fine. Getting back to the topic, 7 Social Sins by Mahatma Gandhi were first published in his newspaper Young India in 1925. So Young India was an English newspaper which was published by Mahatma Gandhi. Those are a comprehensive list of behaviors that cause serious harm to the society. So 7 social sins are such certain behaviors listed by Mahatma Gandhi which can be very detrimental for the social structure. So Gandhi's 7 social sins refers to behavior that go against this ethical code that one has to follow living in a society and thereby weaken the society. When values are not strongly held, people respond weakly to crisis and difficulty. The following are the biggest social sins that Gandhi warned against. Whenever one is weak in terms of the core values, it is then these social sins may be committed by them. But Gandhi has made sure from his end that he warns the people of his country against these social sins so that they are well aware and can avoid the same. Fine. Let's check out these social sins. First one is wealth without work. Making wealth by unfair means by taking shortcuts. For example, tax evasion, scams, insider trading, black money, etc. And in fact, the zamindari system during British India was an example of wealth without work, because the zamindars did not do any work but they took revenue from the peasants and shared it with the Britishers, a certain part that was already determined, and they used to keep their own share from that money, and the complete hard work was done by whom? The peasants, right? So that was wealth without work, and that was something Mahatma Gandhi absolutely did not like. Next up is pleasure without conscience. So happiness that is earned at the expense of others is no less than a sin. Attaining pleasure without a sense of social responsibility, sexual harassment, and mindless consumerism are the examples of pleasure without conscience. Apart from that, alcoholism, right? Also, other kinds of intoxication like drug addiction. Apart from that, road rage, which gives you instant adrenaline rush but is very harmful for the society, for the humanity. You are not only endangering your own life but of the other people who are traveling on the same route alongside. Fine. So such kind of a pleasure in which you do not use your own conscience to judge whether it is good or bad for the society as a whole, and of course for yourself, that pleasure is a sin according to Mahatma Gandhi. Fine. Next up is knowledge without character. So Bruce Lee had said that knowledge will give you power, character gives you respect. Character imbibes quality of integrity and honesty in a knowledgeable person. Examples of knowledge without character could be people who use their scientific knowledge, technical knowledge, or any such kind of knowledge to do certain activities like terrorism, harming other people. Software engineers hack into someone else's device and the data is stolen by them unethically. Such kind of a behavior when it comes to knowledge happens because of the lack of character in the person alongside that knowledge. right? Next up is business without morality. Business should be fair to all stakeholders involved. Unethical governance, structure, lack of infrastructure, lack of integrity, poor working conditions, adulteration, lack of security are examples of sin. And if someone is adding water into the milk, right, and selling it to the people, then that is what? A very minute nuisance example of business without morality, right? I hope you are able to understand any kind of adulteration for that matter could be categorized into business without morality. Fine. Next up is science without humanity. Use of digital technologies like social networking sites for propagation of radical terrorism and socio-religious hatred is science without humanity. In fact, development of nuclear weapons and then using the same for the destruction of humankind itself is what? Science without humanity, right? Even the man-made biological and chemical weapons, all of that can be categorized into science without humanity, isn't it? So Pakistan has nuclear weapons, but the socio-economic condition of the nation are worsening with time. Even that is science without humanity, because what would you do with scientific progress in a nation whose common citizenry is in distress, right? Now here example of Pakistan has been given, but if such a condition exists anywhere in the world, be it our own country, then it is a sin. It is science without humanity, right? Science should always be there, or scientific progress should always be there for the sake of progress of human being. If human being is not made to progress through science and rather is made to suffer because of science, any kind of development in science, then it is science without humanity. Fine. Then comes in religion without sacrifice. Religion today has been reduced to mere practices and rituals. Not bringing the religious teachings of compassion, affection and brotherhood in our lives is a sin. In fact, we have become so intolerant with respect to our religion, our religious beliefs. That intolerance our own religion does not teach us. We have forgotten what really our religion is about, or our religions are about, and the intolerance has overpowered us, which is not required. So religion without sacrifice is a sin. Fine. Then last one is politics without principle. So politics driven by greed, power, opportunism, etc. will undermine the national interest, such as crony capitalism is one such manifestation where politics without principle is done. Politics is done for the good of or welfare of certain people who are capitalists, right, who have money and muscle power probably. The advent of money and muscle power, lack of conviction and principles in politics is a sin. So political leaders who operate without a good moral character always end up doing this sin, that is politics without principle. They provoke people. They make the public get violent through their speech and sometimes through their actions, right? So such leaders are doing what? They are doing a sin. What sin? Politics without principle. It is a social sin as being described by Mahatma Gandhi, right? So the idea of welfare state can come true when Gandhi's vision be incorporated in all spheres of life. So if we avoid all these 7 sins, then only our country could become a true welfare state, where people, the whole citizenry as well as the government, the political leaders, everyone is conscious about the society and social structure. If all of us are conscious about our society, our community, our social structure, our social fabric and its health, we would always be avoiding these 7 social sins. But the list doesn't end here. Gandhi's grandson, Arun Gandhi, added an eighth sin to his grandfather's list. The eighth sin goes this way: rights without responsibilities. Why he gave in this particular sin? The reasons were multiple. First off, the 2016 election witnessed too many people who enjoyed the right to vote but neglected their responsibility to do so. You have a voter card, you have the right to vote, you are eligible to vote, you have that age, right? But you are not going to vote. What is that? That is a right without responsibility. You are not responsible towards your right. That's a sin. Also, many of this nation's corporations waited out the latest tax cuts before agreeing to bring home more than $2.6 trillion in corporate profits sitting in foreign bank accounts. So these corporates were asked to bring back certain money that they had deposited in the foreign bank accounts. But they would have to pay taxes on it once it was back in the country. So what they did, they waited for the tax rates to get reduced. And only when it got reduced did they bring the money back. This is what? This is a right without responsibility. Okay, fine. You are a giant business which is providing a lot of services and opportunities to the country, contributing towards the country. But isn't it your responsibility to pay the taxes diligently? It is, right? But you are enjoying so many rights in our country without fulfilling your own responsibilities. Now that is a sin. When this sum is taxed at new discounted rate, are these companies responsibly paying their fair share of what it takes to run and defend our country? Right? Where is the money being spent? The money is going to be spent in the development of the country in various aspects. But if these corporations earn profit from our very country, from our very citizenry, but they avoid paying taxes, they are avoiding a responsibility towards contributing for the development of the country itself. They are hampering the development of the country itself rather. Right? Of course, that is a sin. When he first published the list, Gandhi noted that it doesn't suffice to know these things merely through the intellect, but to know them through the heart so as to avoid them. So it's very easy for me to talk to you about it. It's very easy for you to listen to me about it. Right? But where does the real value lies? The real value lies when we follow it by heart, when we avoid doing such sins, and we take care of the social fabric of our society. We take care of the development of our country so that it could become a truly welfare state, where each and every citizen, even the last man standing, Antodya, right? That concept was also mooted very well by Gandhi. So even the last man standing could be taken care of, could progress. If we have to create such a country, such a welfare state, then we need to make sure that we do not do any of these 7 sins, right? And in fact, it is very important for the aspiring civil servants to imbibe these principles and avoid any of them doing any of such sins, right? It's very important, most crucial for a civil servant. And thereafter, he can even be a role model for the other people, other common citizenry, right? 83 years later, he would be saddened to learn that there are still too many who have hardened their hearts to make much of a difference in this troubled world. We have got the ability to think, to analyze, and to act accordingly, right? Nature has given us this capability, so we need to make sure we make use of it the most. And we be conscious about our choices, about our actions. And it's been 83 years since Gandhi gave this concept. Remember 1925, Young India. That's where he published the list of these 7 social sins. After 83 years, how saddened would Gandhi be that a country which admires him so much, but nobody really follows his principles. So it's very important to remember and act in accordance with the principles that were given to us by Mahatma Gandhi. Right? UPSC has already asked about the 7 sins concept of Gandhi in Mains 2016. The question goes like this: discuss Mahatma Gandhi's concept of 7 sins. You can answer this particular question in 150 words and send in your answers to us on WhatsApp to get them reviewed. This is it for today. I shall see you again next time. Till then, take care and stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining in.
So that's all for today. Stay connected for more such important videos.